On the profile interview segment this week, I'll be speaking with the National President of the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association, Comrade Festus Osifo. He brings us up to speed on what he and his team has been able to achieve in the last 3 years and what members in the association should be expecting from his administration if he is re-elected into office. All right, it's good to have you on the program.
Thank you so much, Sharon.
It's like I've been seeing more of you recently.
Yeah, of course.
But of course, there's been a lot of activities in your sector.
Yeah, certainly.
So very quickly, let's move on to some of the achievements that you've been able to carry on or carry out in your industry, especially for PENGASSAN and its members. It's been 3 years. Can you bring us up to speed on what you would say you've done for your members?
It's quite enormous. It's quite long, but I'll just try to compress it. So I'll just talk briefly on what we've been able to do in terms of our staff, because the reason I always like starting from staff is that these are the people that you are expecting to champion some of the causes for your members. So you cannot have people championing causes for your members, going around to sign wonderful CBAs for your members, and at the end of the day, they are not properly compensated. So that is actually why I took it upon myself, and I discussed with the entire executives that we must look after the plight of the members. So what were the few things that we've been able to do for them when we came on board? The first thing was that we discovered that some of them were not promoted for years. Some of the staff of the secretariat for almost 10 years, they weren't promoted. And we said, no, that this must not be allowed to continue. So we promoted them. We regularized their promotion, and today they are quite happy. So the issues of promotions are not there anyway. You cannot see anybody in PENGASSAN who has spent maybe 3-4 years in a grade that is still in that particular grade. So we try to regularize that. Then also, when we came on board, we discovered that the issue of healthcare, there was no proper healthcare plan for the staff of the secretariat. We just pay them some money at the end of the month, we sum it up at the end of the year, we give it to them. But we felt that no, that's not a proper healthcare plan. So what did we do? The money that they were paying them as at that time, we allowed them, we converted it to another item, but we brought HMO for them, that today themselves, their wives, their spouses, and their children, they could access health care. So we did that for them. Then also, we looked at the condition of work as well. And we defined some conditions of work for them. So then in terms of their CBA negotiations, in the last 3 years, we have given them some good percentage increment in addition to what they will get at the beginning of the year, which is the normal inflation adjustment of 5%. We signed a new CBA for them, and I think they are quite happy. In fact, in 2021, they sent us a commendation letter commending us that it has never been so good. And I believe that is the way to go. Because if we are telling management, if we are pushing in the industry that improve the plight of our members, so we should be able to lead by example by giving the staff that we have employed, by giving them good condition of service. Then the last I would say in this category is of this category of employees, actually the contract staffing. When we came on board, about 10-12 of them, they were contract staff. I was alarmed. I said, no, in PENGASSAN this cannot exist, because if we are telling managements of other companies not to casualize, we should lead by example. So we converted everybody that were hitherto contract staff to permanent staff, and they are quite happy, their families are quite happy, and that is the way to go. Then in terms of our members, in fact, we have over 140 branches in PENGASSAN. In the public sector, after the PIA was passed, there was apprehension of what is going to happen to the job of our members and what is also going to happen to the condition of service. And that was one of the things we did. PENGASSAN and NUPENG, we championed that the condition of service of our members must be protected, and their jobs must also be protected. And thank God today, nobody has lost his or her jobs. So part of what we did was that we had some networking across the industry where we tried to advocate formally and informally on how the remuneration of our members in these establishments will be enhanced. And largely, I could say NNPC, NMDPRO, NUPROC, PTDF, they have done something extremely good for our members. In NNROA, it is much more better than how we met it. In PTI, it's much more better than how we met it. In Atomic Energy, they just started earning their hazard allowance recently. It was something that agitated them for years. Then we are also pushing in Energy Commission. Then if you now take it more sensibly to the private sector, you know, when we came on board, there were popular of issues, issues in Baker Hills, issues in Tekon, issues in Sterling, issues I could go on and on and on. So part of what we did was that we came and said, no, it is no longer business as usual, that the issue of Baker Hills, you cannot sack a sitting branch chairman. It's just like in a ship. You want to throw the captain into the sea, then the entire crew will become directionless. That you cannot do that. So part of what we did was that the people that were placed on redundancy illegally because they did not follow the procedure from Ministry of Labour, we had a backing from the director of the Ministry of Labour, although the minister had his own different cause because he wanted the branch chairman to go, but we insisted that no, he will not go. And thank God we were able to resolve that. The issue of pension, that they weren't paid their severance benefit 2 years before we came on board, we were also able to put that to an end. The issues that are bordering on ExxonMobil contracts, they were laying them off on a daily basis 3 months before we came on board. They wanted to extinguish them 2 months after our reign, but we said no, we put a stop to it. And from that time till now, there was a strong collaboration between the ExxonMobil in-house branch and the national. We all came together and we resisted them, and that issue is a thing of the past. Similarly, in Chevron, we had about 600 workers who they had planned to let go. In fact, they had made up their mind. The entire stakeholders in the oil and gas industry said they must go. But we said no, that they will not go. That for them to go, you need to define, let it be voluntary. That you can even have more than 600. But they said no, these are the targeted people that they must go. Meanwhile, in Chevron locations, they were short staff. They call people from time off to come and work. They bring people that are on vacation to come and work. So you're already short staff, you want to let go 600, but we had the intel that they were trying to hire some casual staff in order to reduce costs. We said no, this must not happen. So we stood our ground, and today, no single individual was let go. In Shell, almost the same thing. They wanted to do compulsory redundancy, that about 200 people plus, 200 plus members that they have to go. We resisted them, and they now moved to voluntary. So those people that were willing to go now voluntarily opted to leave. In Tekon, we had issues that they were paying our members 30% reduction in salary. We said no, and they did it unilaterally without discussing with the union. We said no, that must be reversed. That has since been reversed. Then we could go to all other companies.
Moving on, unionization is a big deal in trade unionism, and we are very much aware that we have so many companies that do not want their workers to belong or to associate with the union. Can you bring us up to speed what the response has been in your industry?
Yes, actually you have such. You have some company management who doesn't really want the workers to be unionized. But since we came on board, I could say that we've brought in over 25 new companies. We have brought them into the fold. Companies like Aeroton, companies like Health Holdings, companies like SMBO from the Lagos end and all whatnot. So we have actually unionized them. And I think they are also seeing the benefit because SMBO, for example, has a lot of companies within that mix. And in Shell, before now, they don't even have collective bargaining agreement. But immediately we came in, we said, no, that has to be done. They have signed their first collective bargaining agreement now. So that is value of being the value you derive from being a member of a trade union. Then Aeroton, for example, the government, NNPC created a company called NNPC 18 Limited to run the affairs of Aeroton. So currently we are trying to discuss with them to find out the best ways with which they will engage them or they sever them. So it's because they are members of PENGASSAN that we are having such conversation. If they weren't in PENGASSAN, it would have been difficult for us to engage the stakeholders. Before now, a lot doesn't really want to come in because you have one or two skirmishes. But when they see what those that are within the ranks and within the folds are enjoying, so most of them are willingly contacting us that they want to be part of the association.
Talking about your style of leadership, how would you describe it vis-a-vis industrial relations and collective bargaining agreements?
Yes. I think in terms of industrial relations, I don't like scoring myself actually, but I could say that the members are quite happy because this is the part of the leadership we, myself and my team brought to bear was that we don't allow anything that will agitate or remove the job of our members or anything that will reduce their pay. We never allow that. Instead, we try to protect the jobs and we also do everything possible to enhance their pay. So in terms of IRO, I think largely, I think it's been good in the last 3 years. I could go through one company to another and give you the scorecard because when we approach this management and when we approach government, we go there with sincerity of purpose. It is about the interest of our members. What are those things we will do to improve the living condition or the working condition of our members? That has been our cardinal objective in the last 3 years. And I could say so far so good. In fact, when we came in, one of the issues that was also agitating was the issue of IPPIS. If you remember, I was in TVC and we were all shouting that government must take into cognizance the peculiarities of of some of the allowances being earned in oil and gas. So initially, they were playing games. But when we mounted the right saddle, they listened and we were able to also resolve that. Then we could go even ExxonMobil. Recently, there was an issue in ExxonMobil that led to shutdown for almost about 10 days plus. But thank God, we were able to resolve the issues in favor of our members. Because for us, when we are having those IRO discussions, all we look out for is what will be done to the best interest of our members. Then we've had issues, the issues that were bordering on ADAX contracts. So for several years, from 2015, there was no CBA, but we were able to also situate that and we gave them a CBA. That now assisted us when NNPC now took over the asset of OML 13, 123, 124, 126, and 137. When they took those assets over, because we already had an existing CBA, negotiation was a bit easier for us to resolve the issues. And they paid them their severance, and almost all of them that are willing to work, they are still there today working. They're the same thing as well. We also did that for mobile, for others in-house, the other staff members. We were also able to have a conversation with the stakeholders, and at the end of the day, we gave the condition of exit was quite exciting, that they were all happy, but most of them, the company now brought them back. So they've paid them off, but majority of them are back and they are working today and they are quite happy and excited. So for us, we think that the last 3 years, the initial fears that we had, that COVID, because people were working from home, they were locked down here and there, will they go back to work? Or will this company let them go? I could confirm that by the special grace of God and by the dint of hard work, that the worst was actually averted, that although the companies tried, as was the case in Chevron, as was in the case of Shell and the likes, but we were able to resist them, that today none of our members were forced out. Whenever we are going to meet the management of any company, we go with the branch chairman or the branch executive, so that the branch will be carried along. And the branches will also give some level of autonomy to operate. We gave them some level of autonomy for them to operate, and we have been able to return dignity and respect to the branches, because we do tell them that they are the full soldiers, that we don't exist, we cannot exist without them.
Very quickly, the issue of casualization and outsourcing of workers is a general issue or challenge that workers are faced with in Nigeria. Basically, or virtually all sector or industries affected by this. As an experienced labor leader, what do you think would be your advice, or how do you think government and relevant stakeholders can come in to ensure that it's being reduced or eradicated to the barest minimum?
Yes. So now the issue of some call it outsourcing, some call it the problem that is actually there is the condition of work surrounding these. At the time, in the company where I work, Total E&P, or Total Energies E&P today, we actually went to Netherlands for a training. So as we were in Netherlands, I met a particular lady. And the lady has been contract staff in Netherlands for 15 years. So I asked her, lady, why you have been a contract staff? She said yes, that she wants to remain as a contract staff. I asked her why. She said no, that she doesn't want the company to dictate for her the hospital she will go. She doesn't want the company to dictate. She wants her freedom. That in the day she's tired, she take her bag and she leave. But the salary she earns is much more than the salary a regular staff earn. So it's about the condition of service. It's about the remuneration structure. We practice the exact opposite here in Nigeria today. A regular staff will earn much more than a contract staff. And you will in turn also provide a regular staff with hospitals, you provide a regular staff with a lot of other things. But these contract staff, you pay them peanuts and you end up not providing them with the basic things that they could live decent life with or work with.
So your position now is that government and relevant agencies actually have to spell out what contract staffing should be all
exactly.
about.
So there must be standardization. Don't leave it to the whims and caprices of these employees. In some other clients, that is what is being done. The problem here in Nigeria that trade unions always have is that our institutions are very, very weak. In Angola, for example, they have some laws in such a way that if you work there for 3 years, they send you away. They have some laws around casualization, and they enforce it and implement. But a trade unionist here will do the job of the immigration. A trade unionist here will do the job of a police. A trade unionist here will do the job of the various ministries. That is not supposed to be. But today, we have some jobs that are in the organogram of the organization being outsourced. And that is against the letter and spirit of the outsourcing policy. So there must be a complete framework. When there is the framework, the union will certainly put for its implementation. But today, we don't have any.
Finally, you're expecting a re-election into office. What should your members be expecting from you?
Yes, like I said a while ago, that PENGASSAN member did not vote for a cent, or they did not vote for an angel to be their president, but they voted for someone that will work for them 24 hours of the day. Like has been said, that angels are in heaven and saints are also in heaven. But we have tried to work for them. We have tried to walk the talk. We have tried to deliver value for an average PENGASSAN member in terms of, if most of our members today look their pay slip, they will see an improvement. When they check their CBA, what was it in the past, what is it today, they will see some level of improvement. And also, there are still some that we are still a bit struggling with, but that's actually the minority. But in union, we say injury to one is injury to all. So until all the lives of PENGASSAN members are better off for it, we will not rest. So literally, we have worked for them. We have delivered service, very qualitative service. We have also delivered value. And I don't think that as of today, a well-meaning PENGASSAN member regrets for giving us their mandate 3 years ago. And we believe that God being on our side and the delegates also standing by us, we believe next week, we believe by the special grace of God, we'll be given the mantle to continue for another 3 years.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sharon. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijasan. Thanks for watching, and remember that labor creates wealth.